And happy Friday, everybody. happy Friday. It is so good to see everybody. How you doing, Dana?
I am doing good. It was a lot of rain, but it was still a beautiful day.
Yeah. Excellent. I am so happy to have everybody here. When y'all come in, y'all know what to do. Let us know where y'all are tuning in from. Y'all know we always like to give you a shout out. So let us know where y'all are tuning in from. And happy Friday to everybody that is joining us. Hello and welcome, Nathaniel. It's so good to see you, Nathaniel. When y'all come in, let us know where you're tuning in from. So my team always tells me, let me turn this thing down. I always forget to do that. So when y'all come in, make sure that you are sharing. Let me see if I can get this right, Dana. You need to, let me see. Can y'all share this? Invite your friends, share, like, and subscribe. I think subscribe is like to the YouTube. So y'all know we're streaming on YouTube. Where are we? YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think that's where we are, y'all. So as y'all come in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Hello. Thank y'all for spending your time with us on Friday. Like, we don't take that for granted, right? You are giving up your time to be with us, and we are excited to share with you. So we are talking about life after divorce. And I'm excited to have a special, beautiful guest with me today. So I'm excited about that. So really quickly, I want you all invite your friends. Go ahead and share. I'll wait a second while you do it. And while I'm telling y'all to do that, I'm going to do it too. I got my device. I am going to share this as well. For those of y'all who are watching us via Watch Party, hello, welcome. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your questions. So make sure that you all are tuning in and commenting on the right-hand side. So don't forget to like, share, invite, and share. Becky is in the building. Hey, Becky, where are y'all tuning in from? We want to know where you are tuning in from. And we want to say hey. We want to say hi to you. And we are excited that you are here with us. So, my name is Rachel. For those of y'all who do not know, my name is Rachel. I am your licensed clinical social worker with RDH Counseling and Consulting, where we help you become your healthiest self. So we are excited to have everyone here. We're excited to be talking about our conversation. This is our Relationship Friday, and every Friday we come live and we're talking all things relationships. Mm-hmm. So I always like to put it out there, like, this is adult conversation. So I always like to put that out there so that people kind of know where we come from. And this is a safe space to talk about adult stuff. Hey, Shamara. Shamara, where you tuning in from, girl? Where are you tuning in from? We want to shout you out. All right. So I have a very special guest with me. And obviously, it's great minds thinking alike because we are black and whiting it out. So I want to have you introduce yourself, Dana. Tell us who you are, what products, what resources you provide, and then we're going to hop into our conversation.
Yes, ma'am. First, I want to say thank you, Rachel, for having me join you on today. Me and Rachel, we go back a long ways. We were both probation officers. I don't know how many years ago, plenty of years ago, starting out this journey. And it's so amazing that we both end up here, being able to help people heal from whatever traumas they may be going through in life. And so a little bit about myself. My name is Dana Watson, but my clients call me Coach Dana W. I am the owner of Elevate Health and Wellness, LLC, in the city of Norfolk, Virginia. But I do work with clients all over Hampton Roads, all over the United States. And I've also had some international clients as well. My main niche is working with individuals who have been impacted by stress or trauma in any type of way. So I've had clients who are emotional eaters, individuals who just want to lose weight, but it always goes back to that relationship that they have with their body. And so understanding that there's a lot of lack of self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem. And so getting to the issue where it came from. And we find out that a lot of our issues come from childhood trauma. And so a lot of my clients are trying to heal from PTSD. And then I have a healing academy right now. So I am actually training individuals who are ready to be certified as healing coaches. My school is different because all of my clients have experienced some type of trauma. Yeah. And I do believe that we were not meant to just heal and be selfish with our healing, but it's meant for us to go back and help someone else heal. So my academy, as my students are going through their journey to be certified, they're finding healing for themselves. And then they start out with practice clients and then eventually end up having their own coaching practice to help others heal from trauma.
I love that. I love that. And we are going to put her contact information in there. So y'all will get that here shortly. But we're excited to have you. So listen. Alexis is in the building. Hey, Alexis. And Shamara is joining us. And I hope I didn't butcher your name. Shamara?
Shamara, that is my line sisters from 7-Eleven.
Ooh.
I'm done. Got to represent.
Newport News is in the building. So welcome. So listen, we are talking about life after divorce, right? Because this is a topic where there's a lot of shame and guilt, condemnation. If you're in the church, then you feel like you're going to hell. If you surrounding divorce. So I think this is a really important topic for us to have. Because a lot of times, and even the clients that I work with struggle with that, right? It's like I am going through a divorce or I am recently divorced. And what is my life supposed to be like? How do I get through this? How do I heal? Right. And so I'm very excited for us to be talking about this and pulling the covers back, letting people know, first off, you don't have to be ashamed. Let's start there. And you too can get through this. So let's kind of start there. So just your thoughts, feelings about that before we hop into the questions.
No, you're absolutely correct. When it comes to a lot of individuals, divorce is at its highest rate ever. Let me just say that. And I think because of that reason, people are actually fighting harder to keep their marriages together. So they don't want to be a part of a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic of another failed marriage. I know for myself, I stayed in an unhealthy marriage, one, because of my religion. I am a Christian. I am a daughter of a pastor. So it was some shame, some embarrassment that kept me in that relationship. And I just kept praying to God, because I do believe that God is a healer, not just of our body, of our mental state, of our spiritual state, but of relationships. So I prayed to God to heal my marriage. And I do believe he did heal it temporarily. Enough for me to stay in my marriage a little bit longer. But we have to understand that God has not ordained all marriages. And so sometimes we try to force relationships and marriages to work. And God is saying, I didn't put you with this person in the first place. And now you over here hurting, mad at me, but I didn't do this. Anyways, this is the conversations I have with God. So I can't speak for anybody else, but this is what I received from the Lord. And so when you are obedient to God, and I'm not asking anybody, I'm not telling anyone to just walk away from their marriage, because this is why therapy exists, coaching exists, because we are here to help. And if we can help mend relationships and broken hearts, by all means, that's what we're going to do. But if things are not getting better, if things are getting worse, if cheating is an issue because of adultery, if domestic violence, abuse is an issue in your marriage, I don't believe that it's meant for anybody to be miserable. And I don't think God wants us to be miserable in relationships.
Listen, so you already up here preaching, okay? Because I am so it's really important, and they're commenting on it, and Alexa says that's right. Hey, Maurice, welcome. So I want to kind of start right there, right, where we try to force relationships and marriages. So number one, hold on, go back to the beginning, right? Because people a lot of times put the scriptures out there, right? What God put together, let no man put asunder. And I think you hit it on the head that sometimes God is like, I ain't tell you, I did not ordain this. I didn't put this.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to start there, right? If we can acknowledge and recognize that, one, we need to be obedient. Like we need to listen, right? But two, if you get into a relationship, it's important to recognize that not all relationships are God ordained. And so for people who are not in the church, not Christians or anything like that, we're going to get to you in a second, but I want to specifically speak to my fellow Christians who are in these relationships that are unhealthy. Abuse is taking place. Your spouse is cheating on you. Your spouse is just terrorizing the whole freaking house, and there is no peace. He is not leading the household, or vice versa. She is being a contentious. It is not a healthy relationship. I'll just put it like that. And you're feeling like, well, God hates divorce, and he does. But he also is saying, and so you've got that, right? And then you have people telling you, well, what God put together, y'all got to stay there. And I think it's important to give clarity to that, that there are relationships that God did not put together. And now this is just me, and my whole personal Jimmy Jank. I think it is important for people to realize that when an error has occurred, I believe it is more important in God's eyes for the error to be corrected, right? If we're talking about God sent his son to die for our sins because we was off path, we weren't righteous, meaning we were out of right standing with God, right? There was a flaw in the system, and he wanted the system to be fixed. If we're flawed, if we're not in right standing, we are connected with the wrong person.
That's so true. And as none of us are perfect. All of us make mistakes. All of us are flawed, but God loves us even with our flaws, right? But the issue comes in that accountability piece. When it comes to marriages, it takes two people to make a marriage work. So if you have one person that's doing all the work to make this marriage work, I'll just give this one example. Okay. I was a part of a book called Wives Who Pray. Praying Wives. It was so long ago. It was about praying wives, a collaborative book. I mean, it was probably at least 20, 30 women who came together with prayers for their husbands, for their marriages, praying. And let me tell you what my prayer was. I had a nerve to pray against divorce, and I had a nerve to pray against infidelity, because those were the two issues I was dealing with in my life at that point. But God had restored my marriage. I had a testimony. God did something good in my marriage. So let me do this prayer for other women, other wives. And so for them to know that God can heal marriages. And as I did that book and I did the prayer, I used to pray for my husband. I tell you, because we're called to pray for our spouses. As women and men are supposed to pray for their wives. But I realized that when we pray, God gives everybody a choice. God does not force himself on anybody. So while I'm working over here trying to pray and keep a marriage together, guess what? He got to be doing the same thing. He got to be praying and asking God to keep a marriage together, because that's when the devil comes in. That's when the enemy comes in, and that enemy can be anything that you can imagine it being. It could be another woman. It could be another man. It could be drugs. It could be sex addiction. It could be pornography. If you don't believe in the devil, then think about all those other addictions and temptations that marriages face. Look at that as the enemy to your relationship and to your marriage. And so as we have a choice, you get to choose. Am I going to yield to temptation, Or am I going to walk away because my marriage is worth the fight?
Yeah.
I love this woman. I love this man too much to yield to temptation.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make the choice to
Yeah.
do the wrong thing, you're saying it's not worth it.
Yes.
A
I
lot.
love that.
You get a lot of choices. I mean, you get a lot of chances in life to
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah.
And I did in my marriage, gave it a lot of chances. But at a certain point, you got to stand up and say, I know my worth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for me to walk away. And that's exactly what I did.
Mhm. I love so listen, welcome for those of y'all who are just joining in. You're coming in on the hot part, right? So we are talking about life after divorce. And one of the pieces that we've kind of hit on already is this belief, right, that Christians have, and sometimes it keeps us trapped and stuck in unhealthy relationships where there's abuse, where there is cheating, and it's just an unhealthy relationship. So we've kind of talked about that. We've also kind of also honed in on some of the misuse of scripture that keeps people stuck in these unhealthy cycles. And Dana, I love what you were saying, which is that, yes, we can pray, and it's important to pray, right, for our spouses. But there's also a choice that the other person makes. And if that person chooses not to work towards making this marriage work, you got a choice.
Right.
You got a choice. For those of y'all who are just joining, welcome. Share this. For those of y'all who have shared it, thank you so much. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Invite your friends. Because this is conversation we need to have, right? Because there's a lot of stigma connected to divorce.
Right.
So I want us to talk about that, right? So you've kind of talked a little bit about the background of your divorce and what you went through. And I want you to kind of tell me, when you think about divorce that you experienced, how did it affect you most? What were some of the ways that you were affected?
The hardest thing was, of course, my son.
Yeah.
Let me just say, when I prayed for my marriage, it wasn't a one and done. I mean, we went through several separations just to make it work. So my son, guess what? As I'm going through separations with my spouse, my children are having to go through those same separations that we have to go through. And it does not just impact us. It doesn't just affect us as husband and wife, but it affects every single person in that house.
Yeah.
So we started getting separated or facing separation when my son was only about 2 or 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember my son screaming, crying for his dad because he wasn't used to dad not being in the home. And he is a good father.
Yeah.
And so that's one way it impacted me as a whole, watching my son struggle with it. And, a lot of times people stay in relationships for the sake of children.
Yes.
We have to understand that our children are sitting back watching every single thing. And while you thinking they don't know what's going on, they know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about generational patterns and things that we teach our children,
Yes.
we got to understand, if I'm teaching my children to stay in an unhealthy relationship, what does that mean for them when they get older?
Yes.
They mimic what their parents have done, both woman and man, where the child becomes either abusive like their parent, and I'm saying parent because it could be the woman too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or do they become repeat cheaters like their parents because they witnessed their parents talking to multiple women and men?
Yep.
And so then the pattern continues on and on and on. And be wondering why divorce is at a high rate, because our children aren't not witnessing the healthy relationships that they need to witness.
Yeah.
Especially in the Black household.
Yes.
Especially in that Black household. So if we want marriages to last forever, like those love songs out there, we gotta start showing it.
I love that. So man, you are saying some really important things. So let me go to the audience really quickly. We do polls. So I just kind of want to get a sense of those of y'all who are in here. If you've ever been divorced, say divorced or say yes. If you have been divorced, put the number 1 in there. If you have not been divorced, put the number 2. So if you've been divorced before, put number 1. So the poll is, have you ever been divorced? Oh, you can say yes. You can say yes or no. Let's make it simple. So the poll, have you ever been divorced? For those of y'all that are coming in, welcome. Share this. Tell us where y'all are tuning in from. We always like to shout y'all out. Thank you, Bridget, for responding. So she said number 2. That means no. Okay, look, I had to gotta think. Now, what did I say? Number 2 was? Yes. All right. So Chadella said no. G said I was in. G said he was in an entanglement. Listen,
entanglement.
That's the new thing. John Tay said no. Number 2 is no, I think. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Brandy is saying 1. Shamara is saying 2. Y'all say yes or no, because I forgot what I said.
1 is yes. I think we had 1 yes so far.
Okay. So we've had 1 yes and 1 entanglement when it comes to this. If you've ever been divorced. Okay. So the poll is, have you ever been divorced before? If you have, say yes. If you have not, say no. For those of y'all who responded already, just do it again, because I got confused with the numbers. And let us know where y'all are tuning in from. So listen, you have hit on some things that I think keep people in relationships for a lot longer than they need to be. And the biggest thing that I'm hearing is the children, right? It's like and even for myself, that y'all know my story. I was married, and I always desired my daughter to see her like to see a healthy Black marriage, like Black love. And I've been divorced, and I still love Black love. Like that is just delicious to me. So I wanted her to see that. Yeah. And so when we're thinking about this idea of, if I divorce, how is it going to impact my children? G. Bizzle, Raleigh, North Carolina is in the building. How is it going to impact my children? And I think it makes sense, right? Because especially, and you mentioned it earlier, in the Black household, there are single parenting. That whole component happens frequently. And so sometimes we're like, listen, I'm just gonna fake it till I make it. We're gonna tough it out. And the important thing to remember, though, is, what are you role modeling for your children? And I love that you hit that, because I think sometimes we are sacrificing.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah, for this whole perception, right? I don't want to look like I got a broken family, or I don't want my children to know what's happening, or I don't want my children. Whole time, your kids are like, yeah, we know, we already know this is not healthy. We are seeing this, and we're not role modeling what health looks like. Research shows that when children are better off, even if it's a single household, if it's healthy, right? Yeah. So this whole perception of, well, it's better for them to be with a 2-parent household, not if it's unhealthy, not if there's dysfunction. So I think that's important. Brandy said, yes, divorce, no children, thank God. All right. And so Brenda didn't have to kind of worry about that. Bridget said no. Marilyn, welcome. Marilyn is in the building. Exactly. And, so this whole idea of, what are we role modeling for our children? I think that's important to recognize as well. Let me take you to the next question. And for those of y'all who have been divorced, and you recognize that, I think I may have stayed in this marriage longer than I should have. What stopped you? What kind of held you? I want to hear from y'all. So in the poll, the next poll is, what kept you in this relationship longer than you should have? Or if you're currently, well, don't put it if you currently, but hypothetically, your friend, what kept your friend in the relationship?
Yeah, friend. Let's say friend. But you mentioned perception, and another perception that a lot of people don't get is because we are living in the social media world
Talk about it.
this reality or fake reality that me and my husband got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship goals, when those relationship goals not even happening in their own house. Okay. So they're putting up this image, and especially those who consider themselves to be the power couple,
That part.
because we are a power couple. We have our people, our little mentees, and
Yeah.
they don't want us to get a divorce. So while I'm smiling behind the camera, I'm smiling on social media, I'm at home and I'm crying.
Yeah.
I'm suffering.
Yeah.
But when I go back out, I got to put that mask back on
Yeah.
because I don't want to lose my fans.
Yeah.
Think about all those YouTube channels of all these couples. And I mean, they got millions of people following them. And guess what? If they break up, if they get a divorce, guess what else they losing?
Mhm.
All of that money that they were able to get from having this YouTube channel. And a lot of people that we're looking up to with these fun families, husband and wives and children, we
Mhm.
thinking they live in a happy life, fun life, and they are miserable at home. So that's
That-
another perception that we're dealing
Mhm.
with because
Yeah.
of social media.
Yeah. And that's important to recognize. I think it's when we are in our relationships and we find ourselves comparing ourselves to
Mhm.
social media couples, that is a great reminder that you don't know what's going on behind these closed doors, and everybody that's saying whatever. It's important to recognize that that may not be the case. And so don't judge your relationship by someone else's. So I just want to kind of put that out there because I think that's a really good point. The other piece that you mentioned is the finances. That's another reason why people kind of stay in relationships longer than they should, because of the finances. And that's a real thing. Like, even when I was getting ready to leave, I was like, okay, now what we finna do now? Okay, wait. what we what we about to do? What we doing? What we doing? So that's a real thing, and I think it's important to have resources and
Yeah,
support
yeah,
around you.
yeah.
My brother had to tell me, "Listen, Ray, now you need to go ahead, get this going. Blah blah blah. ABC plan 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and let's go. Let's go. Let's kind of get
It's scary starting over. Let me just say that it is really scary starting over. I don't think anybody just wants to get a divorce just because.
yeah.
One, you're now going from a two-parent household.
Mhm.
You're going from a two-income household.
Yeah.
And then for those who do want to date again, let's just see. It ain't easy out here in these streets.
And these streets. Yes.
I ain't gonna lie. That second time from my divorce, my separation, I went back because I tried to date and I was like, I don't want it.
Wait, so convenience? You was like, it's more convenient. Let me go back. I know what I'm Sarah.
If I gotta deal with something bad, I might as well deal with what's bad at home. And then I was like, nah, I can't do this either. I'd rather be by myself.
But Dana, that is that's real. That is
It's
real talk
real.
right there.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's important to recognize that, listen, and at some point you're like, listen, I'm worth more than this. And
Right.
I got to do what I
You
got
gotta
to
get there. You gotta work your way up there. It's just not natural to
do.
love yourself and to know your worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say you gotta love yourself. It sounds so easy, right?
Mhm.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Yeah. And it does take work. And I think
Mhm.
that's why it's important for coaches like us and therapists like us to help
Yes.
people get to that place where they can love themselves and make good choices. When you're thinking about this situation that you went through, right? The divorce, the separations, what are some of the lessons that you learned? What are some of the
I
lessons?
learned so many lessons from this. Because you mentioned earlier, everybody does not have a relationship with God when it comes to relationships. So to them, having an ordained marriage may not mean anything to them, right? But if you don't want to look at it as God giving you signs pre-marriage, then let's talk about those red flags. And I know
Okay.
it's been overused, but right now, because I know what I don't want from my first marriage,
Yeah.
I now can say what I want and what I need, and what I need to not ignore when it comes to those red flags, because I got the red flags. I ignored those red flags like it wasn't even in for real. I ignored it. So I think I'm being more upfront and honest about my wants when because I am dating now. And so when it comes to dating, it's like, nope, I'm not doing that. And then understanding that even in a marriage, whether you are the one who filed divorce or not, again, nobody's perfect. So being able to do a self-reflection on myself, what could I have done to make my marriage work a little bit better? Even if he did his dirt, what could I have done? And there are some things I could have done a little bit better as a wife. And so those are some lessons that, you know what, I have to be more honest. I got to be able to communicate a little bit better. I come from a large family. So, you know, when we yell and scream and we're loud, that's because we come from a loud family, and it's normal. So guess what? Getting married and I would get loud with my spouse, and I'm telling on myself now. And he wasn't used to it. It's like, why are you screaming at me? I'm like,
you yelling? No, I'm talking.
But being able to recognize, okay, everybody does not come from this loud family where it's normal to talk over each other, to interrupt each other. And so that was something I had to work on. And so I am in therapy. I've been in therapy for 2 years. I was in therapy at in my marriage towards the end of it. And I've been in it through this transition, going through the divorce, and I'm in it post-divorce because I know that there is still healing that takes place. I would tell you, there is no ending to healing. Healing is a lifetime event. So when people say, oh, you ain't healed yet, you are completely right. I'm not. I'm still working on it.
Listen, so I love that the transparency, right? And what I'm hearing you say is there were a lot of different lessons that you learned. One was the importance of recognizing that there were some differences, right? Well, number one, recognizing the flags, and then like, okay, if I see these flags in the future, I now know what they mean.
Yes.
And this is one of the things, right, that I think is important for us is to be able to put the pieces together. I see this, and how should this be interpreted? What does this mean, right? If this person does that, then that probably means that in the marriage, this is how this is going to translate, right? So I hear you saying that it kind of taught you, one, to pay attention to the red flags.
Right.
And so that even now as you date, you can kind of be aware and be mindful of what this means. The other piece that I'm hearing you say is that it taught you to be self-reflective. Like, now that was a choice on your part, and that takes maturity. So I love the therapy piece, because it takes maturity to be able to say, I wasn't all the way perfect, right? Because it's easy to be like, that person sucked. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Yep. But it's important to recognize that each person plays a role in it. And even if you weren't, your actions weren't the hair that broke the camel's back, it's still important for you to do that self-reflection to say, what did I learn about myself through this process? And I think that is one of the things that I really encourage my men and my ladies to do, right? After a breakup, after a divorce, what are you learning about you? For those of y'all who have a relationship with God, what did this experience teach you more about God, right? What did you learn about yourself, others, the world, and God, right? How do we grow from this? Because any experience, we have a choice. This can break us or this can grow us.
Yes.
So I love that. And then you said that you're dating. So she's available, y'all. But when you think about this whole dating scenario, how do you let me go back, because this is something else you said that was key, is recognizing that when you get married, it is two worlds that are coming together, trying to see how you can integrate, and recognizing that it takes a lot to adjust. I'm from a big family as well. I have 11 siblings.
Oh, wow.
Whole being loud and what you mean loud? No one's talking like this. What?
We do in large families. It was 6 of us, so I can only imagine with 11 kids. Oh, y'all was really talking over each other.
Yes. So I think it is important for us to, and so even for singles, right? Because we're talking about divorce, but everything can be a lesson that you can apply, right? So recognizing that as you get ready to get married, it is important. I always encourage premarital counseling. I don't know how you feel about that. Okay, but
I do premarital counseling. I'm a ordained minister, and so I coach and I do premarital. Yeah.
Listen, this lady is she does it all, y'all. But it's getting the necessary support beforehand so that you don't have to go through a divorce, so that you don't connect with somebody who is not for you. You see the red flags, or maybe you don't know what to look for when it comes to red flags. So I love that.
Right. Let me just add, since you brought up about the premarital and the counseling, I would suggest a lot of times we wait too late for the premarital counseling. You're getting premarital counseling 2-3 weeks before you get married. You know, goodness well, those issues you got in counseling that's coming out is not going to stop you from getting married. So I would recommend that you actually have counseling once you realize that this may be the one, that this may be someone I might want to spend the rest of my life with. Start counseling right then and there. Even if there is no marriage plans, there's no marriage date, we haven't even got engaged. I'm going to go ahead and do therapy and counseling because I feel like you are worth it. And I want to see if we are meant to be together. Invest in your relationships.
Yep. And that is key. I know sometimes people think that the only time you go through therapy is if there's issues. But the reality is, and this is what I tell my people all of the time, go to the premarital counseling, even before you are, like you said, thinking about it, because we want to know, are we on the same page on some things? And sometimes you may not know the questions to ask. And so as the therapist and the counselor, we're able to help you suss some things out. The other thing is, if you're in it married and there's no major issues, therapy is something that is going to continue to help you strengthen your marriage, build it, enhance it, and grow it. So I want to just kind of put that disclaimer out there as well. All right. What self-care practices did you engage in either during or after the separation or the divorce?
So I've been enjoying myself. I have increased my traveling. So just being able to travel, my son's getting older. My daughter, she's 18, about to be 19, so she knows how to take care of herself. Just being able to travel more has been really refreshing. And I picked up some new hobbies. I started to skate, and so I love skating. Right now, I'm kind of on the injured list. I can't skate, but my physical therapist said I can get back out there in a couple of more weeks, and I cannot wait. So I started to find myself of who I wanted to be in regards to being a healthy version of Dana. I started strength training with weights because I had some health goals for myself. And I'm not gonna lie, it's true. A lot of times when women, I can only speak for a woman because I'm a woman. When women go through separation, divorce, or breakups, the first thing we do, we fix our physical. We cut our hair. I did the big chop.
Okay.
Cut my hair, did a nice haircut when me and my husband separated this last time, and it led to the divorce because I felt like it was important to shed that dead weight. I thought it was important that I find me for me, and I love me for me. I make the changes that I want to make for myself. I enjoy looking at myself in the mirror. So I had to work on myself because a lot of times we do lose ourselves in marriages. And that could be one of those things where you're just doing things to please your husband, but sometimes it's because of tiredness and depression. And so you're not looking good like you used to look good when you first met your spouse because you got too comfortable. And two, you just don't have the time. And that depression kicks in, postpartum depression. We thinking it's lasting just while the baby is a baby. No, it can last for years to come.
Yeah.
And so it's important that you take the time to figure out what is it that I need to do for me to make me happy during
Mhm.
this transition in life.
That those points are really important, right? It's this whole idea in acknowledgement that there are times in our marriages where we get comfortable,
Mhm.
and sometimes we let ourselves go, and sometimes, ladies, men too, that adds to why the marriage ended. Like, so
Yeah.
you're just gonna eat everything up, and you're not, this what you're doing, you coming to bed like that. That's what we doing, right? And so there is a loss of attraction or things of that nature.
Mhm.
But it's also important to recognize as well that our physical or mental and emotional health plays a role as
Yeah.
well. And so being able to handle that, being able to address that. Let me bring in some comments from the audience. If y'all have questions, we want to hear it. The poll that's going on is, what have you learned? So Dana shared with us some of the lessons that she learned about herself. What have y'all learned about yourself, about God, about others from this experience? Because it's anytime you go through something,
Yeah.
what's the lesson in it, right? And we're only looking back, not to beat ourselves up, but to see how we grow, to see the lesson in it. So that's the poll that's out here. I want to read Bridget Jones Smith. She said, how would one realistically navigate asking someone to go to premarital counseling if they haven't discussed marriage with the person? Great question. It seems good in theory, but I can see it as a turn off to the other person. Let me hear your thoughts. So let me hear you on that, Dana. So she's saying, listen, sis, take it easy. I haven't even said I'm looking at you as a wife,
Right.
or vice versa. Like, let's talk.
So I'm gonna tell you, it's not just good in theory because I'm actually doing it in a relationship I'm in right now. I've
Okay.
been dating a guy for we met in August, and so it's been some months now.
Mhm.
Now, the key is finding the right person to do it. Because
Mm,
if you are talking to someone who's saying, no, I'm not doing it, then you actually got to question yourself. Is this somebody that I want to be with, that they don't want to improve our relationship or talk about those triggers that might have come? See, I'm coming from a traumatic relationship, right? A traumatic marriage.
mhm.
He's coming from a traumatic breakup. So
Gotcha.
we both knew we were coming into a relationship where we have some triggers and
Mhm.
we have some issues that we're dealing with when it comes to moving forward in a new relationship.
Gotcha.
So we just had the conversation. Would you be interested in having counseling? Now, I didn't say premarital,
Okay.
and he didn't say premarital. We just said counseling
Okay.
to work on our relationship. So
Okay.
that's how you get around that. One, like I said, you do want to make sure this is somebody that you see yourself spending your life with, your future with. You don't want to just have counseling with just anybody. Feel like you're gonna be in and out that relationship.
Paying
Um,
them co-pays.
recommend that. But with somebody you feel like this, we have a potential relationship where we can be married, then yes, you
Okay.
definitely want to have that conversation. Don't scare them away by saying premarital though. Just say, how would you feel about us doing counseling to learn some skills about communication? How do we communicate with each other? And some keys to a healthy relationship so we can have the best relationship ever. What person would run away from that?
So this is a couple of things, right? So this idea of, and I think this is important to recognize, that when we are coming from a past traumatic relationship, that it is important for us to do our own work. And I heard you say that, hey, I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy since the end, of the marriage, to make sure that I was at my healthiest place. So working through things. So that is first and foremost. Like, do not try to jump into a relationship
Right.
before, and I tell my ladies all the time, sis, you are not ready for a relationship. Let's kind
Yeah.
of get you healed first, right? And Bridget is agreeing. She said, good point. I also
Mhm.
think it's good to have individual self-reflection in therapy as well. Yes, yes. So that part is important. But I love that approach, right? Which is you saying, less emphasis on, especially if y'all haven't, if it hasn't been established, marriage hasn't
Right.
been discussed or anything. it is still possible to say, hey, would you be open to us going to relationship counseling, right? And seeing what they say. The other part of that is, if they say no, I don't want y'all to run away from saying that to your partner, because it's going to teach, it's going to let you see a couple of things. One, you're going to hear very clearly the messaging, the languaging and the messaging about how they feel about you,
Right.
about getting and seeking support, and how they feel about therapy. So ask that question. It is okay to ask it. You actually want to ask it sooner than later, because if they say, what therapy? Am I doing that?
Right.
Okay, well then you already know. So when
This is
things,
something that you're gonna have to deal with in the future.
yes,
When it comes to when the issues do kick in.
yes,
But there are a lot of people who don't believe in therapy.
mm-hmm.
So if they don't believe in therapy, how do we resolve our issues? And if you're not going to do therapy, there are couples retreats you can attend,
Mm-hmm.
couples groups.
Yeah,
Find something that's going to pour into your relationship to give you the knowledge, to keep the skills, the tools that's going to feed you.
yeah,
Because relationships can get stale, and you
mm-hmm.
got to keep it fresh.
Yeah,
So join some couples groups. There are so many thousands of Facebook groups out there, and I promise you there's something out there for everything. So if
yes,
you're going to find something, I've gone to couples retreats before. Go
mm-hmm.
to something that's going to pour into you
Yeah,
and your relationship. But definitely what you said about the individual, we are both in individual therapy, and we are doing couples therapy together, and it's been really helpful for us.
awesome, awesome. When you talk about therapy, we're talking about healing. How important would you say it's, for healing to take place following divorce?
Say that one more time to understand your
So,
question.
how important, and we kind of hit on it a little bit, but scale
Mhm.
of 1 to 10, 10 is like, yeah, no, this needs to happen. Taking the necessary steps
Right,
to
right.
heal from a divorce. Where would you put it at?
Oh, like I said, so healing is a journey. I don't think you have to be 100% healed to be
Okay.
able to move on and to start a relationship with someone. But I do think, one, you got to acknowledge that there are some wounds that need to be healed. So
Yeah.
that's the first step, to acknowledge that you are hurting in some areas in your life, that there's some triggers that you are experiencing because of the trauma that you experienced from that marriage or that relationship. Once you can get through that acknowledgement,
Yeah.
then you can start working on yourself. So you have to at least start the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
Everybody's journey is not going to look the same though.
Mhm.
But to be able to take some self-reflection, as we mentioned before, to
Yeah.
take those steps, healing comes in different forms. Some people do go to therapy. Some people go to coaching. Some people talk to their pastor, their clergy members. Some
Mhm.
people be all right just talking to a friend every
Uh-huh.
so we can't really put it on a scale when it comes to healing. I
Mhm.
think you know you best. If you
Yeah.
are a person, and because of your past traumas, if it's affecting your relationships in any kind of way, and we're not talking about just romantic relationships,
Mhm.
but is it affecting your relationships at work
Yeah.
or your family members, and you seem angry all the time, pay attention to who you have become.
Yeah.
If that trauma has changed you, because
Yeah.
there was a point that I was this sweet, nice old Dana, very timid and quiet. But guess what? Pain will change you. Pain will change you, where your face is balled up all the time. Your fist is clenched. You just want to punch somebody.
Tell them why you're mad, Dana. Tell them why you're mad.
This is not the Dana I know. If
Yeah.
you find that you are changing, then
Mhm.
healing needs to take place, because you are, who you are meant to be. And
Mhm.
so being able to find that person again, to say, pain might have hurt me, but I don't want it to change me.
Mhm.
That we're not going to be that. I know people who are purposely petty and sarcastic. And guess where that comes from? It comes from pain.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to be sarcastic or petty all the time. So if
Yeah.
you are that petty person all the time, then some healing needs to take place.
I love that. I'm just kind of looking at the comments. I'm going to bring the comments in here. Ryan, welcome. Ryan is saying, "Listen, I'm about to be talking about this next week, and yes, pain it can change you. And if you notice that you are not the same person that you used to be, that's an indicator that, yeah, I've got some healing to take place. Hey, Van. Van is another therapist. And displacement, yes, it is. Yes,
Another
it is.
probation officer turned therapist.
Yes, yes. Um, and I think that it's important to recognize that the symptoms, right? The red flags for you. If you're not the happy, joyful person that you
Yeah,
used to be, then it's time for you to start taking a look at what is really going on in this situation. And am I staying in something that I should not? And recognizing that healing needs to take place. Now,
mhm,
I want to go from the healing taking place and the pain that a person has experienced to forgiveness, right? Because a lot of times we're in these relationships
yeah,
and stuff has happened. Um, and we have a right, I'm going to use that word, air quotes, right. We have a right to be angry, upset, hurt. And I could, if I wanted, be bitter. But how does that impact us? And how does the role of forgiveness come into play when we're talking about divorce and afterwards, how we do what we do to be our better selves?
right. If I can just first comment on one of the comments, I think it was Ryan who said sometimes pain is necessary, and I 100% agree.
Mm,
Sometimes that goes back to those learning lessons
mhm,
where a person who allowed people to walk all over you,
yeah,
or you were a people pleaser, because I used to be a people pleaser.
mhm,
The pain did change me from that, where I'm able to stand up for myself. And I'm now able to set boundaries for myself. I'm able
mm,
to say no to people. I'm able to say yes to myself
mm,
because of that pain. You are absolutely correct.
yeah.
So paying attention to what type of change is taking place. Is it a positive change or is it a negative change? Um,
Mhm,
but to answer your question about forgiveness, forgiveness is the number one key
yeah.
to healing. Well, I'll put it right after that acknowledgement. Once you acknowledge it, that you've been hurt and that you need healing, I say second step is forgiveness.
Mhm,
Forgiving that person, even if they don't hear it from you. Because we all know forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for us.
yeah.
Because if you don't forgive, you'll walk around, like, I mentioned before, angry and
Mhm,
bitter. And it does stop you from moving forward
yeah.
in life and moving forward in another relationship. I'm able to say that, yes, I want to experience another marriage and be in a healthy marriage because I forgave my
Yeah.
ex. I had to forgive myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I put myself in this situation because of my pattern of being in unhealthy relationships,
Mhm,
moving from one unhealthy relationship to the next. Because guess what? Healing did not take place in between those two relationships. So I had to forgive myself.
mhm,
I should have known better,
mhm,
right? So once I forgive myself and I'm able to forgive my ex for all the wrong that he's done for me, guess what? That's the reason why I can continue to walk with a smile on my face.
yeah.
That's why I'm able to walk from my pain to
Yeah.
my purpose,
Mhm,
because of forgiveness. That's the reason why I can help others heal
yeah.
from their trauma,
Yeah.
from divorce and separation and other types of trauma. Because I can't teach anybody anything if I'm over here angry at my ex.
Mhm, mhm,
Can't do it. It's not
mm,
possible. But the
yeah.
same way that God forgives us because of our wrong and our mistakes, we
Mhm,
too must forgive others who have offended us.
yeah. Well, you hit on a really good piece, and I was just kind of looking at some of the comments going in, um, in the chat. Um, but that forgiveness, right? It's not, like you said, it's not just for the other person; it's for us.
Right.
Um, and it sometimes is easier to forgive the other person, but we haven't yet forgiven ourselves.
Right.
And I think that that is key, right? Because sometimes we are beating ourselves up because we're woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? I
Right.
should have known better. I should not have stayed as long as I did. How could and if this is the multiple divorce, right? Or multiple breakup. And so we are dealing with this guilt and this condemnation that we're carrying around. And so sometimes it's harder to forgive ourselves.
Yes.
So I think that is important to kind of bring to the forefront as well. And so for everybody who has gotten to a place where you kind of let what the other person did go, right? You like, okay, I'm choosing to let this person go. What they did, I'm choosing to. When we forgive, it empowers us. It's us taking our power back.
Right.
Because the truth of the matter is,
Yes.
we were bound. That I remember, and I'm gonna throw me out there. I would think about that, and I almost used the word, but I would think, right, and I could feel it in my chest, right. I
Mm.
could feel that anger come up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what that means is that person has control. I have given them control over me, the ability to make me react or respond, right? So it's really empowering if and when you're able to forgive that person,
Right.
and then next, forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself, because if God can forgive you, who are you? So you think, I mean, what are we saying, right? Like, God forgives me, but I'm not going to, because I know better. No, you got to forgive. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
forgive yourself, and to recognize that when you for whatever reason did not have what you needed in those moments to do what you wanted to do.
Right.
Give
Right.
yourself grace in that. I'm gonna bring in some of the comments. Hey, Shayna. Hey, Brandy Martin is in the building. Brandy saying yes.
Yeah. Well,
um,
Rachel, one of the things my therapist said
mhm.
in our couples session, when you are dealing with a person who you know has experienced some type of trauma in past relationships,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you have to be the one that goes the extra mile. You have to be more sensitive. You
Mhm.
have to go over and beyond
Yeah.
to make that person feel safe, right?
Mhm.
So that goes back to, why did you get divorced in the first place? If it was a person, domestic violence or cheating, whatever the issues may be,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that person has experienced some type of trauma in their life that they did not heal from. And now, like Vance talked about displacement,
Yeah.
that anger has carried over to you, and
Mhm.
you getting it
Mhm.
because you're the person that they see every day,
Yeah.
that they come home to because they're mad at work and they don't know how to deal with that anger. They
Yeah.
don't know how to deal with those frustrations. So it doesn't mean that you have to put up with it.
Yeah.
Forgiveness does not mean that what the other person did was right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it means is that I'm big enough and strong enough mentally and emotionally to say, you know what, I forgive you because
Yeah.
I know you're hurting from the traumas that you probably dealt with as a child that you have not healed from.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep praying for you
Right.
from a distance. That's
Yes.
what I do for you. Pray
Yes.
from a distance.
From a distance. Any words of encouragement that you want to give someone that is going through a divorce, or they're considering it, like they know they need to leave, but they're like, whatever, whatever. What words of encouragement would you give? And yeah, and then any last words before we end?
Yes. So my words of encouragement. I think we started out in the very beginning talking about we shouldn't be ashamed
Yeah.
of having a divorce or going through separation, and I still stand on that. I am not ashamed. I am, as people who know me, I'm as transparent as can be, because there is healing
Yeah.
in transparency. And when I am transparent,
Yeah.
I feel stronger. I feel like I'm open, I'm healthy. And so I'm helping someone else know that you do not have to put up with
Yeah.
the abuse in the home. You do not have to put up with being devalued as a woman or as a man, because I advocate for men just
Yeah.
as much as I do for women.
Yeah.
That we are to love ourselves no matter what. And if that spouse cannot love you the way that you deserve to be loved,
Mhm.
then try counseling,
Mhm.
try therapy.
Mhm.
But again, it goes back to choice. If they don't want to give it,
Yeah.
don't force it.
Yeah.
As I promise you, you're going to end up right back where you started at, because it takes two
Yeah.
to have a healthy relationship. So the last thing I want to say is be on the lookout for anthology book, Life After Divorce, Turning Your Pain into Power, because that's exactly what we're doing. We are using the pain from separation and divorce, and we have been able to turn it into power. Power to walk in forgiveness, power to walk in our passion and our purpose, power to start profitable businesses, because that is not the end of our story. So be on the lookout, because we have so much more to tell. Life after divorce.
Yes. Awesome. 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 Listen, this has been another delicious Relationship Friday, where we talk about real stuff. And I have thoroughly enjoyed the conversation that we've had. And I have enjoyed reading you all's comments. And Dana, I have loved just pulling from you, right? Gleaning, and having you share your story. It takes bravery, it takes courage, and anything that we've been through is designed to help other people, right? So I love that you are saying, hey, listen, this has happened. I don't have to be ashamed. I don't have to feel guilty. Dana's like, I don't.
They didn't feel ashamed when they did the things they did they?
Okay. Yes. And I love most of all the fact that it's like there is life after divorce. And so we are moving forward. We have opened up businesses. We are doing great. And we are not bitter. And you do not have to be bitter, and you do not have to stay bitter. So I think that that is important for people to recognize. Y'all stay on the lookout. We will definitely keep you posted about this anthology. I'm excited to be connected and taking part in that. So I want y'all to tune in next Friday for another Relationship Friday. Make sure that you all check out Dana's website. Her link is in the comments. It is important for us to get healthy, y'all. And we are not going to let a divorce, we're not going to let a breakup make us change us into something unhealthy. And we do not have to stay bitter. And it's our choice whether we take offense. When somebody does something to us, we get to decide, are we going to take offense? So I have enjoyed this. I'll see y'all next Friday for our Relationship Friday. Jonte is saying definitely needed this. Awesome. For our ladies, we are having our masterclass. We are helping women learn to love like they have never been hurt before. We are going to be launching our course. We also have our self-care, becoming your own best friend course. Ladies, caregivers, we are not taking good care of ourselves. So I need us to do better in 2022. So link with us, RDH Counseling and Consulting. We would love to support you in your journey of becoming your own best friend and becoming the best version of yourself.
Yes.
All right. So you all take care, be blessed, and we will see y'all next Friday. Make sure you like, share. You're welcome. Like, what is it? Like, share, subscribe, all of that. Do it. All right, y'all take care.
Bye.